Good evening, everyone. Sorry, the screen hung there for a second and I wasn't sure whether I was live or not. That's why I had a bit of a look on my face like a stunned mullet. How's everyone doing? A couple of things I want to talk about tonight. Well, one in particular, really. I've got a little story to tell you about the Fender Mustang Micro. You know, that little practice amp thing. Yes, that's. Well, it turns out it washes out well for one of the parties concerned, but not for the others. Anyway, let's have a look and see more on that later. Let's have a look and see who's in tonight. David Evans was first in, then Muskie's here. Stephen Tatton, Robster Boy, saying my masterclass was awesome. Well, thank you for saying so there, Robert. Deco Dude, Phil, Anton's in, Jack Collins, Michael Palmer. Evening, Michael. Vincent Brennan, Grandpa Joe, who else we got? Johnny Random, Phil, Peter S, Peter Collins, the Geordie guitarist, and who else we got? Ian Clark's in there, and John Ross, Brad Matthews, Das Schaff, how are you, mate? Bottleneck Bob, how are you, Bob? Nice to have you back, mate. Hope you're keeping well. Patrick Becker's in. My old mate Jem Jarvis, he's there. And who else we got? Ian Rouse, the Essex Cat, Cal B, David Daly, 60s Man, Pablo, Hank Gareth Owen. Who else we got? I think is that Luke's, Chris Ottawell, Sargi's in, Johnny H, Jeff Rock, Alan Hoole, Mikey Newman, Johnny Love, and Warren Reed, and Jan Karlberg, and old Uncle Tom Cobley and all. Excuse me, I need a drink after all of that. Oh, dear. Yes, indeed. The Fender Mustang Micro, when it first came out, everybody was raving about it. You know, it's a little headphone amp if you don't know what it is. Basically, it if you like imagine it, it's a little thing that plugs into your guitar, and like it's a big old kind of lump of electronics that plugs directly into your guitar. You plug your headphones in, and it does all sort of amp simulations and stuff, and various effects and what have you. And everybody was saying what a fantastic piece of kit it was, not least Dan from Scott Guitars, who I haven't seen in tonight, must be busy. Anyway, glowing reviews all over the place. I thought, I'll get me one of those and do a review on it, you know. Everywhere was sold out at the time. And you know what it's like, you forget about things. Anyway, I was just browsing the other day, and I think I was on Guitar Amp Keyboard, GAC, their website, and there was one in there. I thought, oh, great, I'll have it, and ordered it, and it turned up, prompt delivery, and didn't have time to check it out on the day it turned up because I was busy. So anyway, next opportunity I got to have some free time, I thought I'll give this a go. And one of the things that you're supposed to be able to do with it is USB it to your computer and use it as a recording interface, which is ideal because that means I can record the sounds and demo what it sounds like for the review. Perfect, I thought. First of all, it turned up without any instructions, no instruction booklet whatsoever, what you're supposed to do to hook it all up. All that was in there was one of those, those little kind of folded pamphlets with, writing so small you need an electron microscope to read it. Because, on like a piece of paper that big, they managed to crammed in like about 30 different languages. And it was just all of like the safety kind of instructions and what you're supposed to do with it. Interestingly, if you've got a Fender Mustang Micro, if you get that little safety pamphlet out of there, you will read in the small print, because I did, that because it emits a signal of a certain type, you are not supposed to use it within 20 centimeters of your body. Yeah, it's plugged right into the guitar. So what you're supposed to do, kind of hold the guitar 20 centimeters away from your body. Anyway, I thought, well, there's no instructions, so it must just be plug and play. You know, stranger things have happened. So I plugged it in, nothing. Okay, I mean, USB'd it into the computer wouldn't pick up, nothing. So Googled it, couldn't find anything on Fender's website about it, but that's not unusual, because if any of you have seen that that sitcom Father Ted, do you know the scene where all the priests kind of accidentally wander into the lingerie department of the department store and they can't find their way out? That is usually what it's like trying to find what you're looking for on Fender's website. So anyway, found on Sweetwater's website the setup guide. And the first thing you need to do is install some software on the damn thing, you know. So you have to go to and they provided you with a link to the Fender website. You know, why it doesn't come with this software installed, I don't know, but you've got to install this software on it. So you need to download the installer from the Fender website. Sweetwater gave me the link to that, and got it all hooked up. And you're pressing this button with this hand, and you're pressing and holding down that button with the other hand, and you're trying to kind of click on the mouse with your elbow, as you supposedly have to do. And eventually the Fender software installer app just kept crashing, and it was saying your system is not compatible with this app. You know, I'm sorry, but according to your website, guys, it is. My computer is within the specified system requirements, but it wasn't having any of it. And in the end, I just gave it up as a bad job, because, you know, it came without instructions. Fender's website was about as much use as an ashtray on a motorbike. And then when I finally did get the app to install the software on this thing that comes without the relevant software installed on it for some reason, you know, it wouldn't work anyway. So I got in touch with Guitar Amp Keyboard and relayed this to them, and they, within 10 minutes, had replied to me and sent me a free postage label to send it back to them. And the next day, the refund was back in my bank account. Now that is proper customer service. So 10 out of 10 for Guitar Amp Keyboard on that, and like 1 out of 10 for Fender, I'm afraid. So has anybody else got any experience of that Fender Mustang Micro? Have you had hassles kind of hooking it up to your computer? Has it been, you know, a right royal pain in the bum for you, as it was for me? You know, that's it. I shan't be reviewing it now. If I'm looking for a headphone amp, I shall just go and get myself one of those Vox amp plugs that Colin, who's I've just noticed in the chat, lent me a little while ago. So do you recommend it? Just asking, I'll get me coat. Might have been almost interesting, that Fender Micro. Too bad. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good reports about them, and not just in all the usual places where you expect to hear glowing reviews of whatever is being reviewed, because the people who are giving the glowing reviews have been paid to give a glowing review. We know who we're talking about there. But, you know, just other people who've used it say, oh, it's brilliant, fantastic, you know, can't get over how good it is. Not in my experience, but then again, you know, I'm a 54-year-old fat, hairy northern bloke, you know. So Vox makes some headphones that plug into the guitar. John, could have been a PC driver's issue. Well, whatever it was, all I can tell you there, David, is that, you know, it says on that when you eventually find that the thing on the Fender's website, it tells you that, you know, these are the system requirements, that this kind of processor or better, this much RAM or more, you know, this, you know, etc. And I met all of those, and it, you know, just, it wasn't having any of it. So there you go. Johnny loves saying, what's the little Vox like? Yeah, Colin Falcon loaned me a couple of his Vox amp plugs, and they're really good. If you just search YouTube for John Robson Vox amp plug, you'll find my review of it. Really, really good. I mean, you can't sort of USB it into the computer or anything. I remember. I seem to remember just kind of getting a headphone lead and patching that into me interface to kind of get it to record. But they're not meant for that. They're meant just to for silent practice where you can get a big kind of crunchy loud rock guitar tone in your headphones. Yeah, I agree with you, Ian. GAC are brilliant at customer service. Let's put you up on the screen there, Kieran. I ordered a Harley Benton Tube 5 amp the other day. What's your thoughts on them? Well, I haven't got any experience of them because I haven't tried any of those little Harley Benton valve amps. But again, heard nothing but good reports of them. I suspect they are probably coming out the same factory as those little 5-watt Bujeras. Because well, that's the sort of thing that all these things tend to be made in one factory and then badged up with different brand names, don't they? But again, nothing but good reviews I've heard of them. But then again, I heard nothing but good reviews of the Mustang Micro. I am going to be having at some point, probably next year now. After I've got a bit on my plate at the moment. I won't go into details about that, but kind of hospital visits and so on. We're not talking about that. But once all of that is out the way, then I'm going to be having a bit of a rearrange of the office in here. I've got a new PC I need to get set up, and I'm going to be looking at upgrading things basically. And one of the avenues I'm going to be going down is going for the whole 2 notes kind of thing and getting like the 2 notes captor kind of thing, so I can start doing some more amp demos, which I'm itching to be able to do, but it's not really feasible at the moment with the setup that I've got. But watch this space, and but there'll be more guitar reviews along the way. Speaking of which, I better tell you what's coming up on the channel this week, hadn't I? And well, there's one of my occasional Saturday videos tomorrow. I think it's going up in the morning. Can't remember whether it's 10 o'clock or 12 noon. But basically, it's another one of these videos where I go shopping for a guitar. And you'll find out exactly what guitar it is and why I'm buying it in the morning or tomorrow at some point. Then on Sunday, it's the full-on kind of road test of that little Glary you can see behind me, that semi-hollow Telecaster kind of thing, where it's doing a little bit of blues rock, funnily enough. Yeah. Who'd have thunk it on this channel? I'll get the slide out and give it a little bit of slide attention. So that's Sunday's video. Then on Monday, the solo analysis, which is typically in the Monday slot nowadays, is a classic Thin Lizzy solo. And it's probably one that you've forgotten about. It's probably the closest thing in Thin Lizzy terms that you would ever get to a fusion solo. Some interesting chord changes played over this ballad by Thin Lizzy. So, have a guess amongst yourselves which one that might be. Then on Tuesday, I am running down my top 5 classic rock intros. And, what I do on that video is I actually play all of these intros. And I thought, there's no way, as long as my bum points southwards, that I am going to get this video monetized. But it's sailed through. So who'd have thought? Remember that Reaper tutorial I did where a royalty-free drum loop gets hammered as a copyright strike? But in this video on Tuesday, I'm rattling off a load of very recognizable classic rock intro songs, and it absolutely sailed through. Then on Wednesday, there's a little sort of tutorial video about chord substitution. Now, don't be scared. It's not a jazz thing. It's about how you can, basically do a little bit of turd polishing. Frankly, taking a boring song and kind of giving it a little bit more personality. This happened. I tell the story on Wednesday. It's basically I was in a band in the early '90s where the chap who was the main songwriter, he was a nice enough bloke, but he was a bit full of himself, and he wrote a song that was basically C, F, and G, and wanted it to sound, a little bit like a like something more than it was, and using a little bit of chord substitution, you can do that. You can create a bit more personality for the song by doing this. So that's Wednesday's little kind of theory-ish kind of video. Then on Thursday, it's we're finally getting around to unboxing that blue Pacifica that you can see behind me there. Yes, I know. Sometimes you see these videos where I'm unboxing something and you've been looking at it in the background for a week or two in subsequent videos. It's just because I don't shoot these videos in sequence. So I'm terrible for continuity like that, I'm afraid. And then that's Thursday, and then Friday, of course, we're all back on the beer again. I see we've got, I bet Doctor is one of the intros. I'm afraid it isn't, Phil. It was tough narrowing it down to 5, but Doctor made the final 10. But I see somebody's got the Thin Lizzy solo. Right, let's just scroll up and see if anybody else has got it. Romeo and the Lonely Girl, no. There's a couple of, 3. Yes, it's the solo from Sarah by Thin Lizzy. That song there is what I love, encapsulates what I love about good songwriting. It's some really clever little chord changes in that song. It's sophisticated and it's complex, but it doesn't wear its sophistication and its complexity on its sleeve and say, look at this, isn't this clever? It just kind of gets on with being a good tuneful song, and the guitar solo is an absolute belter. So there you go. My Harley Benton 52 has some rough fretboard thing going on. I think they run out of lacquer. Yes, well, as I've often said and will continue to say. By the way, tonight, Budweiser. Mainly because it was on offer in Morrison's. It was, I think, £14 a case, or 2 cases for 20 quid. So I thought, well, it would be rude not to, wouldn't it? The only problem with Budweiser is, as you probably know, you can't get ahead on it. So I'm afraid I've robbed you of the opportunity to shout flake at me this evening. Sorry, chaps. Hope the hospital shite goes well for you, mate. You will love what the 2 Notes Torpedo Captor X does, mate. Well, thank you, Dave. It's as I say, it's all plans for the coming year. Just getting this room a little bit more professionally set up, I guess. Sarah is a beautiful song, a classic. Excuse me, let's just put you up on there. Sarah is a beautiful song, a classic. I also like King's Call, bit country style. Budweiser, a bit bubbly for me and quite sweet. King's Call. That was off the Solo in Soho album that Phil Lynott did. I believe it was Mark Knopfler who played guitar on that, wasn't it? Budweiser. Yeah, it's lager, and as the only 2 criteria I have for buying lager is how expensive is it or how cheap is it, and what's the percentage. Beyond that, you get lager cold enough and it all tastes just kind of cold and lagery, really, to me anyway. You should get a couple more and avoid the flake tag for ages. Thank you, Bob. Is that ginger ale you're drinking? Cider is the new flake. No. What does Budweiser have in common with a canoe? Go on then, David, I'll buy it. What does... what is the Captor X, John? Okay, yeah, a company called Two Notes make a range of products that all have the term Captor. And what you do is, if you want a valve amp cranked up to like insane volume levels, typically where a valve amp kind of the power stage starts to work and, you know, kind of get a bit of a sweat on, that's when they tend to sound better. Okay. But obviously you can't usually do that in a domestic environment or even in a lot of small gig environments. So what this Two Notes Captor thing does is you unplug the speaker from your amp and you plug in its place the Two Notes Captor, and that then a lead comes out of that and goes into your computer, into your interface or wherever, and you can crank the amplifier up so that the power amp is really kind of working, you know, for its living. And the Two Notes Captor basically simulates, you know, kind of, it acts as a power soak, as an attenuator, and simulates the sound of a good speaker cabinet, and gives you that cranked valve amp sound, but at a, you know, at a domestic kind of volume level. And, you know, it's just a lot easier than cranking up a massive valve amp and then getting the mic placement, because you miking up an amp to get the best sound out of it is an entire science in itself. You know, literally, kind of, your mic can be facing like that and it sounds great, and your mic can then be facing like that and it doesn't. So that it eliminates all of that hit and miss of miking the amp up and everything, and just gives you the optimum sound from the amp, you know, every time, and, you know, without any hassle. So that's what the Two Notes Captor does. Oh, Billy Guitar Guy. You got me on the Galahad brew, John. That's very drinkable and a decent price. Cold beer is a cold beer, I agree. Yeah, I'm with you on that, mate. If I'm in a pub, then typically I will drink whatever, you know, kind of hand pull ale, whatever kind of traditional ale is there. But there's something about putting that kind of beer in a can or a bottle that just ruins it for me. So that's why when I'm at home, I drink lager. And when it comes to lager, as I say, as long as it's 4% or more, and, you know, it's not and it's reasonably priced, then I will happily quaff it all night long. Yeah, seeing attenuators for less than 30 quid. Yeah, you can get them, but it's more than an attenuator, the Two Notes thing. It's you know, it does the whole kind of impulse response speaker simulation. Did you watch the BBC One show last night with Robert Plant and Alison? I presume that's Alison Krauss. New album out today, and it's excellent. No, I didn't, because I don't tend to watch much TV, mate. But I remember, what was the last album they did? Gosh, it was about 15 years ago, wasn't it? Raising Sand. And they had T-Bone Burnett involved as well, I seem to remember. That was a great album, and I remember there was talk of them doing another one. I didn't know that they'd actually, you know, kind of gone ahead and done it. Yeah, bitter in a can tastes like crap lager to me. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Phil. Oh, I've got you all at the Galahad now. I should be. People already think I get kickbacks from Harley Benton. I don't. People are going to start thinking I'm getting kickbacks from Aldi for promoting Galahad. Where are we? I got one of those Hobgoblin mini kegs, and that tastes a lot better than the bottles or cans. Yeah, I'm not keen on Hobgoblin, Craig. It has to be said. It never sits well with me. Um, you learn as you get older that what things you can drink and what things are going to make you feel like death warmed up the next day, and Hobgoblin and red wine definitely fall into that category. So, and there you go. As I say, you learn. Not been to a pub or restaurant since February 2020. Don't miss either. I've got to tell you, I'm not far behind you there, Vince. The last time I was in a pub was when a few of us all got together back in August for the what we were calling the party conference. When we all went out for a beer and a curry up in Redcar, here in Redcar. And I've not really, I've not been in a pub or a curry house since, other than to pick up a takeaway, Let's have a look. John, with your new setup next year, you might think about a Behringer 18i20 interface, 8 inputs for 170 quid. Yeah, well, that's something to look at. The thing is, I can't see myself needing more than 2 inputs. Most of the time, I only need 1 input, and this little Behringer UMC22, the Euphoria, has 2 inputs, and that's all I kind of need. So I'm all about spending the money on stuff that that is actually going to show me an improvement. Hail John Robson, guitarist. Is it Friday already? I don't know what you mean about already there, Time Prophet. It's been a long old week this week for me, I'm afraid. What's this? John, quick question. Are Fasley guitars any good? Would you know? I've never played one, but I do know Johnny from the Budget Guitar Show is always singing their praises, and he usually shoots pretty straight. But there's a couple of there's 3 budget brands that I have yet to check out. Firefly, although getting those in the UK is a bit difficult. SX, which seen so many people talking about how good they are for the money, and Fasley. So yeah, I shall be. I'm making inquiries at the moment as we speak. Well, not as we speak now, but do you know what I mean? The wheels are in motion. Bob's got his Krupp beer pump with Austrian lager, 4 pints for what? 4 pints for 11 quid. Can't go wrong. That's well, 4 pints for 11 quid. Well, that's to me that seems a bit steep. I've got to tell you, Bob. I looked in a pub and saw an old face I didn't want to see. Was that a mirror or something like that? Is that some kind of reference to the passage of time there? Aldi bourbon whiskey, £12.50 a bottle, gets the job done. Well, fair enough, mate. The thing is, with me, I do like a drop of whiskey, but the thing is, if I was to sit here with a bottle of whiskey during this live stream, it could get very messy very quick. So that's why I don't. Anyway, let's see what else we're talking about in the chat while I've been blethering away. Let's see what I've missed here, because people often give me a telling off that they've asked me stuff in the chat, and I've been too busy gossiping to notice it. So let's have a look. Oh, Johnny Random likes Hobgoblin and red wine. I don't like. It's not that I dislike either of them. They just don't like me, mate. Good morning, everyone, and cheers. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, isn't it, beer hounds? Red wine is my tipple of choice, John. However, Hobgoblin is damn good remedy for constipation. Yeah, I was trying to be delicate about it, Colin, but that is sort of the effect that it has on me. Anyway, I was saying about Harley Benton guitars earlier. I got sidetracked about the rough fretboard. Yeah, two of the reasons why they are so cheap is because of the shorter supply chain and the fact that they do tend to outsource their quality control to you, the customer. It's anything where there's a bit of a rough finish. Well, that's what wire wool's for, isn't it? So. Oh, the novice player doesn't drink. Well, it doesn't matter, mate. You still, it's all welcome here. I mean, I spent, believe it or not, I spent 6 years teetotal from 2004 to 2010. I didn't touch a drop because I had this catastrophic hangover in 2004 that absolutely knocked me on my backside for about a day and a half. And it was from red wine, actually. And I thought, no, I just never ever want to feel that ill again. So I just stopped drinking. And it lasted about 6 years, and then I just thought it was Christmas 2010. And I thought, you know what, I fancy a beer. And what had happened in that intervening time between 2004 and 2010 was I'd quit smoking. And since I quit smoking, I noticed that I could have a good old scoop of beer on an evening. And, as long as you do the sensible thing, you've got that little, most of us, my pal Jem, who's in the chat there, he doesn't have this, but most of us have this little voice in our head that says, yeah, you should probably make this your last one, and as long as you take notice of that, and then glug down the pint of water before you go to bed, then I'm always fine the next morning. And I think it was the fact that unless I go on red wine or certain beers like Hobgoblin, I think more than anything else though it was the tobacco that was giving me the brunt of the hangover the next day. Because it's like if you're a smoker. When you kind of having a drink, it's like you're pretty much kind of chain smoking all night, and that's what really kind of used to beat me up the next day. Let's have a look. I bought. Let's put you up on screen there, David. I bought 3 Harley Benton TE90 FLTs from the same batch. Each one had a different neck profile. Really? I think that just goes to prove that they all come from different factories, and they'll just, they'll bung an order in from, when they need to fill some stock up, and it's like whichever factory, gets back to them first, I guess. Anybody remember Scotsmac or Clan Dew? God, I remember Clan Dew. That was gopping stuff, wasn't it? That was always the stuff. When you were a kid and it got Christmas time, there was always that tray on the sideboard, wasn't there, with all of the kind of Christmas drinks on it, and there'd be the bottle of Harvey's Bristol Cream, and there'd be the bottle of Advocaat, and there'd be the bottle of Clan Dew, and Scotsmac, and the other one I always seem to remember was that Sanatogen wine. Sanatogen is a brand of vitamins. I don't know if they're even still around now, but they make like kind of vitamin supplements and stuff like that, and they had their own kind of vitamin supplement wine. It's the sort of stuff your granny used to drink with lemonade, you know, and that's all the stuff that used to come out at Christmas time, you know, for when the neighbours used to come round and offer them a glass of that. But yeah, Clan Dew, it was like, it was cheap, nasty whiskey laced with white wine, I seem to remember, wasn't it? That bud looks good. Wish I wasn't at work. Advocar, get pissed on custard. Yes, yeah. That was me. That was my granny's drink. Advocar. She used to drink it with lemonade. It was a snowball, I seem to recall, and she would quite happily sit and polish off a bottle of it. You know, and it just, you wouldn't know that she'd had a drink, and. Yeah, and I don't think she realised it was alcohol. She thought it was a tonic, you know. Yes, anti-flake. So let's have a look in here, see what I've missed. Any experience with Michael Kelly guitars, says John Little. I haven't, but I used to be on, well, I still am a member of a web forum called Songcrafters. Go and check them out. If you're into home recording and songwriting and stuff, go and check them out. You know, songcrafters.org. Like, really friendly bunch of lads there. And one of the chaps on there, a guy called Kenny, he's got a few Michael Kelly guitars, and he's a canny player. You know, he can rattle it a fair bit, and he's always singing the praises, you know. So I've nearly bought a couple, nearly bought a Michael Kelly a couple of times, you know, when I've been doing this kind of thing, like, you know, tell me which guitar to buy, you know, when there was one when I ended up buying this one, you know, the Larry Carlton guitar. There was a Michael Kelly that I almost bought then, but the Larry Carlton won because more people wanted to see the Larry Carlton getting reviewed. So, you know, that was that. It's inevitable I will end up getting one. So, where are we? I think I still have a bottle of Harvey's Bristol Cream. Yes, indeed. John, please translate gopping. Gopping means, I think it's a term we use in this part of the world for anything that is vile tasting. You know, it's a term that means unpleasant, ugly, foul tasting, and just not very nice. You know, for instance, in our house, I have Marmite quite often for breakfast, and my missus tells me it's gopping. So there you go. Let's have a look at the new comments. Yes, I see we've all got different translations for gopping. Bad Cat Zebra Wood kit guitars look strange, but manufactured wood. So is it an MDF? I don't know, Anton. No, it's not a brand I've ever heard of, to be honest with you. You know, talking about kit guitars, that is something that I've got a bit of a hankering for at the moment. But, you know, all of the kind of cheap kit guitars, you know, it's just like you just get the feeling that you're buying trouble, because you know that you're going to have to ditch the tuners and all the electronics and replace those. So I am thinking about one of those Crimson kit guitars. You know, just that would be a fun little project, I think. Where are we? Dan from Guns and Guitars does a lot of Bad Cat kit guitars. I haven't seen his channel in a while, actually. I can't remember if I subscribed or not. I think I probably did. But you know that thing when YouTube kind of you know, people tend to say it's a conspiracy or whatever, but I genuinely don't think it is. I think it's just IT doing IT things and messing up in a way that IT things tend to do. But you know, that way that that YouTube randomly unsubscribes you from things. I'll have to check he hasn't done that, because I haven't seen one of his videos in ages. Oh, we've got Mike in from China Guitar Skeptic. How are you, Mike? Nice to see you here, mate. Are you going to be doing a live stream later? I shall try and drop in while I'm having me curry, because it is curry in the Robson household tonight. Yes, indeed. Homemade. I did a humongous batch of curry for the freezer yesterday, and there's one sat in the fridge now that I shall go and reheat after we've wrapped up here. Would be interesting if you did a Crimson Guitars builder course thing and gave us a daily update. Yeah, that would be really good. The only problem with that plan is that I would love to go and do one of Ben's courses, you know, at Crimson Guitars. It's definitely a bucket list thing to do. But the thing is, me and the missus haven't had a holiday / vacation for 6 years. And I imagine it would go down like a bucket of cold sick if I was to say, you know, we haven't had a holiday in 6 years. Well, I'm just going to spend a lot of money on going on this guitar building course, and you know, down south somewhere. Yeah, I can't really see me getting away with that. But you know, watch this space. It might happen. Where are we? Best guitar to mod is the Yamaha Pacifica 112. Yeah, that one behind you. Let me grab it. This, I just want to say a big shout out to a chap called Steve Duggan, who basically bought this Pacifica, did all the mods to it, and then gave it to me. Well, didn't give it to me, gave it to Zoe's place. And you're going to see me unboxing this guitar and first impressions on Thursday. It's a fantastic thing, and you know, long-term viewers of this channel will kind of recognize this. You know, the Pacifica with the humbucker and the P90. This guitar has got me all nostalgic for it. So yeah, I'm just starting to think, shall I do another one? Because you know, I mean, Pacificas, they're, as you know, they're as cheap as chips. And, you know, it's, as you say, it's just a fantastic guitar. They're a blank canvas. You can do so much with them. Where are we? Let's have a look. You can write the course off, but not a holiday. Yes. You see, I can convince the taxman of that, but can I convince the missus? My kids cried. Oh, sorry, I'm going to put that one up on the screen, Malcolm. My kids cried when I put ginger in the curry. They loved that cat. You know, when you're appalled at what you're laughing at, but you still laugh anyway. If you can't get to Ben's, what about a head tattoo? No. I have got I've got this hospital thing going on, and once I come out the other side of that, I'm going to have a tattoo to commemorate that. But you know, that's I don't see myself getting you know anything tattooed up here. The tattooist who did this, actually, where are we? This arm here. It's so weird when you kind of, you know, when you realise that you're not looking in a mirror. The tattooist who did this was all kind of head tattooed. And like when he was doing that, I said, so what's it like getting your head tattooed then? He said, it's the most painful thing you can ever imagine. You know, and this is coming from a guy who was like covered in ink, and he, you know, and this wasn't too bad. I mean, people who don't have tattoos always ask, do they hurt? Well, yeah, of course they do. It's somebody kind of scratching your skin with a needle and injecting ink into it, and of course it's going to hurt. But you know, this guy was absolutely covered, but he said the ones on his head were absolute agony. So I shan't be getting that done. Yeah, Pacifica's the original good budget guitar. Yeah, I was having a bit of a conversation earlier with, I can't remember, it might have been you, David, and it was just like on the comments section. And the Yamaha Pacifica, the 112, was, I think, the guitar that started the current kind of golden age of cheap guitars that we've got now. Because you go back to like 89, 90, best-selling guitars in the UK, Marlin Sidewinder, a lump of plywood, Squire Strat, plywood. Back then there wasn't like the Squire Classic vibe and the Squire this and the Squire that. It was just a Squire Stratocaster. And it was made from plywood. And, you know, and it was just normal for like 200 quid. The Epiphone, anybody remember the Epiphone by Gibson? Strat copies and Telecaster copies. They were actually branded as not just Epiphone, but Epiphone by Gibson. You know, Strat and Telecaster copies, again, made of plywood. And they were pretty bad guitars, and they were about 200 quid. And that was 200 quid in 1990 money, which is, what would that be today? And then along comes Yamaha with a Pacifica 112, and they made a point of only offering them, I seem to remember at the time, in a natural finish. So you could see it was solid, decent timber, not like, you know, ply. And I think that pretty much shamed all the other manufacturers into, you know, following suit. You know, suddenly plywood wasn't an acceptable guitar material then. And that sort of, you know, because before then you could spend, you know, as much as you wanted on adding better pickups and better tuners to a guitar, but if it was still fundamentally a bad guitar, the wood wasn't good quality, then it didn't matter what you spent on it, it was never going to be a great guitar. But, you know, with the Pacifica, suddenly all that changed. Yeah, I agree with you, Pablo Hank. It was definitely Pacifica that started it, made everyone else up the game. You know, which is why, you know, at the risk of sounding like one of the four Yorkshiremen, you know, Monty Python and all that, you know, and you tell young people that today and they won't believe you, you know, just some of the awful guitars that people of our age had to cut their teeth on. You know, it's when somebody says, "Oh yes, but you know, the nut isn't exquisitely cut on this £150 guitar," or, you know, "Oh, there's a little bit of fret sprout." Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these things should be acceptable. You know, especially on, you know, a guitar that's, you know, well up into the sort of, well, more £400-500 guitar. You shouldn't have, you know, any kind of serious issues on a guitar like that. But when people start, you know, saying, "Oh, this Harley Benton," or this, you know, this SX, or this other insert name of other budget brand of guitar isn't perfect and it costs you 160 quid, well, get over yourself. You know, it's go and play my old Woolworths Top 20 or Satellite Les Paul copy or a Marlin Sidewinder or an Encore E76. You know, awful guitars. And that's what you had to play on back in the 70s and 80s. Oh, here we go, Mike. Mike, you've obviously watched that sketch too many times, mate. Yes. Does the wood matter, says Billy Paul. Oh, now you're opening a can of worms there, aren't you, lad? You know, that's been the topic of hot debate. In my opinion, yes and no, if I'm allowed to sit on the fence. The timber matters in the sense that the density of the timber matters. I don't say that you're going to get a radically different tone from this species of wood to that species of wood, but here's the argument I would put forth, right? Does a Gibson Les Paul sound identical to a Gibson ES335? No, it doesn't. They sound similar, but they don't sound identical. And the reason for that is the Gibson Les Paul is made of mahogany and maple, basically, with a bit of rosewood. The ES335 is made from essentially maple and a bit of rosewood and a lot of fresh air. So the people who would have it that it's only the electrics that matter, it's only the magnetic pickups and the wiring and the scale length and all of that matters. Nothing else can possibly influence it. Can never explain why a 335 sounds different to a Les Paul, but they do. So obviously there's something about the construction of the guitar and the density of the timbre involved, or lack of density in the case of the 335, has an effect on the tone. My first electric guitar, let's put you up on screen there, Craig. My first electric guitar was an Encore Les Paul Junior copy. It cost £50, but I loved it because it was my first guitar. Yeah, we all remember that, Craig. We all remember that thrill of, because my first guitar was like a steel string student K thing from the catalogue. And then I graduated to this Woolworths Top 20. And just the thrill of being able to strum a chord here and for the sound to be coming out of a speaker over there, that was, with a curly guitar lead a la Brian May, I didn't even have an amp at the time. It was just plugged into the mic socket on my Amstrad Hi-Fi, if you can call anything made by Amstrad high fidelity, that is. I'm thinking of buying a double neck guitar just for show. Well, good for you, mate. I wouldn't say, if it's on your kind of bucket list, then you get one. Mate, it's just not something I've ever really fancied, mainly because I've just never been that into 12 strings. 12 strings, it's just, I like the sound of one occasionally, but I keep thinking about getting one. There's that sort of, funnily enough, Harley Benton, Rickenbacker-esque 12-string kind of copy. I keep thinking about getting one of those, but it's just like, I just know it would spend 50 weeks of the year hanging on the wall as an ornament, and it wouldn't get used. And it just, because I'm sort of got something of a business head on me that makes me think, well, I need to make these things pay for themselves. I just know it wouldn't. Oh, are you still reciting that sketch, Mike? I converted my record player into a guitar amp. Valve, it was pretty good, well, for a 16-year-old. Do you know what, Steve? Right? Funny you should mention that, but I was at college with a lad, and with the improbable name of Thurston George Aerosmith. That was his real name, Thurston George Aerosmith. And he was, he had this, I don't know what it was, but it was a Les Paul Junior kind of thing, like TV yellow kind of thing with a bit of black burst around the edges, single P90. And he had that, he'd got like, remember the old Dansette record players? He got like the front end of one of those chopped off, just with the electronics and amplifier circuit in, and he'd kind of, because we were at an electronics college, he'd obviously done it himself, and he'd plumbed in a 1/4-inch jack to hook his guitar into it, and that was his guitar amp, So, funny old world. The Woolworths Top 10. Now, Woolworths Top 10, John, says Jim. What a classic that was. Yeah, I was a little bit more aspirational. I had the Top 20, which had the 2 pickups. And, yes, and even more jagged edges that would snap strings and rip flesh. It was, but it was an electric guitar, and it was mine, So What's your favourite colour? Yes, that's where you get thrown off the bridge on the mountain, isn't it? Let's just have a scroll up here, see what I've missed in the chat. Are you a hoarder of guitars? Well, not really. No, I've just got. I suppose I am in a way, but like it's. I'm not a hoarder in the sense that I can't bear to part with them. There's a bunch of them in here that will be. Well, there's that Pacifica that you've just seen there, and the Glary. They don't belong to me. They're going to Zoe's place next week. And there's another guitar that you can't see at the moment that's behind me, but you'll find all about tomorrow in tomorrow's video, where I'm basically shopping for another guitar, and it arrived and it's behind me, but that's not going to be hanging around. So I wouldn't say I am a hoarder, no, because I have no qualms about getting rid of guitars. All the ones that you can see here are here for a reason, and you know, they all have a use. Where are we? Ingenuity was required back then. Yeah, it sounds like the Dark Ages, doesn't it? The early 1980s, and in a lot of ways it was. But you know, it's when you watch old TV shows from back then, and like within the living memory, you know, when you kind of remember living through that time, and you think, well, yeah, I can identify with that time, but God, life was different back then. Like you watch old TV shows from the 80s and 70s where you see people, you know, having a cigarette in a restaurant, or, you know, having to run to a call box to make a phone call. You think, well, yeah, gosh, life's moved on, hasn't it? You know, basically they didn't have the internet, they didn't have mobile phones, and you could have a cigarette wherever you wanted. But there you go. Life changes, I suppose. Anyway, chaps, I've just finished my last beer, and we've been on nearly an hour, so I'm getting a bit hungry, so I'm going to go and get started on warming up the curry and finishing the rest of the beer that's downstairs. So thank you all once again for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern gobshite talk cobblers for an hour. It's been a blast, as it always has been, and until you get sick of me, I'll keep on doing it. But for now, time, gentlemen, please, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.